storage unit is cleaned out.
Well,
So I was like, oh, is she driving right now?
no, one of the 3 is cleaned out.
Where did you put it? Do you have a truck or what are you guys doing with it?
No, that was just a product of consolidating into the other 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because as I've been semi-liquidating, I've been working on cleaning that one out, basically, just by virtue of consolidation. No, ma'am. So, sorry.
Oh, hello, kitty.
A very needy friend with me today. She's being a barnacle since I'm packing.
Yeah, trying to figure things out. Hello, friends. Happy Friday. Sorry, we were chit-chatting. Welcome. We have one question. Someone asked me in one of my videos this week, and I don't do shipping policies. So I put it up here to ask Anna. So we're going to start with that. But if you guys do have questions, it is a casual question and answers as we get to it. We'll get there and then we have things to chit chat about as well. So
yes,
the question that came in on one of my videos this week was, if you have policies turned on, so they were talking about shipping policies, do you have to use them or can you select other shipping? If not, can you just turn them off? So like I had a shipping video and I was showing like how I update my shipping and they wanted to update it like mine, but they have shipping policies. So is it like what, like if you have policies set, you have to use policies? Or can
I think so. I'm pretty sure because when you're listing something, like your not even template, but just like your listing page to create the listing, the shipping options are like just your drop down of what your policies are. So I think it is kind of all or nothing, but you can have a lot of different policies if you need them. Like I have, oh my gosh, I'm seriously.
Oh, now your alarm's going off.
I know. I literally just put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but apparently alarms do not respect that.
They do not. As on my eBay Open presentation, do you remember I had to like turn off my watch?
No.
Oh, did you not? I thought I told you that.
No.
So if you guys watch my eBay Open, it's on my channel if you want to see. But you know my alarm that goes off every day at this time?
Yes.
I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I was recording the eBay Open presentation at this time in California, and it went off on my watch mid-presentation. So I'm like talking, and then I kind of just hit my watch and like
that's hilarious.
Like flip out and like
I definitely watched your presentation and did not notice that. So you were smooth criminal.
Now you guys know, keep an eye out for that.
You're like, hold on, I need to go pick up my kids. I'll be right back.
Yes, right. Exactly. For the business policies, if you don't want to use a policy, you have to turn it on, or like you can't have a little of both.
I think so. And I guess, I mean, if that person were here or we were having a synchronous conversation, I would want to know why they wanted to do something different from their policy. For me, I mean, as you know, if you've been around, my friends here on this YouTube live habit that we have, I ship all kinds of different things. So I do have like a lot of different policies. I mean, really not a lot. I have it streamlined, but to cover the whole gamut of like way different types of items with different weights and like all of that, I think I have about 4 or 5 policies for everything that kind of covers everything.
Oh, but that's it?
But that came as a result of like realizing like, setting basically 2 of them and then being like, oh, I need a third option for this, or I need a free shipping first class basically, but domestic only because some of the things can't go to other countries. And well, of course, now that's all entangled in the new international shipping program. But also, sorry guys, my cat Cinder is in here with me and she is like super needy right now, so she's freaking out because we're packing up the house. So
that's how my dogs get all freaked out when we're just like packing our suitcases because they're like, what's going on?
Ooh, yeah, but I do think it's either on or off.
You can go in and set. So the video I did this week was like I reset I do flat rate shipping.
Yes.
Not like padded flat rate, which I use, but I like first class is $585 now. Yes. And I went through and like looked at all of my prices to come up with a new number because I was undercharging because I hadn't done it in a couple of years.
Yes.
And so they were wanting to kind of set it up how I set it up, but they had business policies. So I think it was more they just couldn't follow through my video step by step because they had policies turned on. But I think they would just have to go into the policy and either update the policy or create a new policy for what they needed.
Yeah, because I think, if they're charging, it's like they'd have to separate out the items based on like how much of an upcharge they were going to do. but if you're doing like a specific shipping service, like you have one policy that covers things that are all first class or things that are all under a certain weight, or, you know, these are all flat rate envelopes or whatever. Like, the good news is once you have your policies set up correctly, all you have to do is go in and make one little change in the policy and it automatically changes all the listings.
Oh yes, like when I did this update and I had to go in and bulk edit 200 at a time, like 2,000 listings.
Yes.
Should have had a policy.
Yes, like that. So it would have been like 1 second. I'm gonna throw her out though.
Don't see me. No worries.
I'm too much of a barnacle.
I'm gonna hop in and say hello. So Duncan VR is saying eBay auto declined an offer when I was not using auto decline, and buyer paid full price. Oh, interesting. I will say this brings up a good point though, because friends, it is winter seller update time frame. So if you're noticing glitches, if you're noticing certain things that are happening, or sales, or like you have one really bad day, like it's all fairly normal during this time period. If it's something that continues to persist, or like a really big issue, you know, contact eBay. But if it's something, and I was going to bring that up. Last week we talked about an issue because someone was saying, I was reading on social media that padded flat rate, you couldn't list it anymore. So to follow back around on that, I never had an issue, but I had a couple of people reach out to me that were having issues. Yes. And then I saw someone on social media that said, hey, here's what the problem is. So I never had an issue. So I'm only telling you what I have heard. Let me know if it's different for everybody else. But it was so two things. One, if you couldn't select it as you were listing it, once it sold, you could go in and select it. So if it wasn't an issue, you were still able to do it. You just had to do it on the back end when it sold.
Yeah.
And then the one that I saw, the like tip that I saw on social media on Instagram, was you had to enter in the dimensions of your package to get the padded flat rate. And I think my VAs just automatically do that. So that's why.
Yeah, maybe that's why it wasn't a problem on your end. That is really interesting though, because I feel like there are some, like, I don't understand this at all, but like I had this happen multiple times this week. It's hopefully a glitch or whatever, but where somebody bought something, obviously something that was going to go first class, and it's like, it's in my free shipping policy, right? So somehow though, when I got to the label page, it was telling me like send via UPS because that's what the buyer selected. And I'm like, the buyer,
even though it wasn't an option?
Yeah, I mean, like, it is free shipping. It just says like free economy shipping or whatever. So like the buyer shouldn't have a selection to make on that item, and why would they choose UPS for it? And I was like, it happened a few times, and I'm pretty sure those buyers probably didn't choose UPS, and it was just some kind of like automatic thing. But I was like, this is so stupid. Like, why would someone want me to ship this little pin through UPS or whatever? And it's like, you know, it's free shipping, so they don't get to choose the service really.
Right. And most buyers honestly probably don't even have any idea.
Yeah.
The difference in any of it. They just know it's free shipping. I think some know every once in a while, because I like to do like free shipping and then I do a priority option, because sometimes if it's worth a lot, or oftentimes priority will say that it gets there sooner. However, first class typically, I've noticed, gets there about the same time.
Right. So like, what are you're paying for a guarantee-ish basically, but
to feel more but I don't think that they really know that, right? Like they're not savvy in all of that stuff.
Right.
Duncan's asking, how's your week sales, ladies?
Oh man. Mine's atrophied here towards the end of the week because I have been starting my transition to eventually on, I guess, Monday, my store will officially be shut all the way off for a week where people can't buy things. So right now I have it on like a longer than usual handling time. So that's killed it like a little bit. I sort of started that like last week, and then I've gradually shifted towards an even longer handling time because I've been so overwhelmed trying to pack for moving, and I just can't spend that much time shipping every day. So I'm like, I need to be selling fewer things.
So you're like intentionally suppressing yourself.
Yeah. So it hasn't been great, but I think it's been like on par for what I have set up right now.
Are you like not sending out offers, not running sales, not selling similar?
No, I still am, which I probably should just take my sale down is what I should do, but I don't know.
So then Monday you're like full vacation mode for how long?
For a week, Monday to Sunday.
But then are you going to keep handling a longer handling period on? So then
and the reason that I have it like turned like where people can't even buy the item is because if I decide on Sunday from my new home on Sunday that like I still need a few days, I'm not going to have anything waiting to ship out. So like I could do that. I could extend that and have no consequences except that obviously I'm not selling anything and making any money. But hopefully by Sunday I'll be ready to turn it back on. But if not, I won't be like, well, crap, I have all this stuff that sold while I was moving and now I at least have to ship that. Like I won't have any of that.
Or something happens. You could always, you know, come Saturday, be like, okay, we're like in a really good place and I want to put it back on and change all of that.
Okay. Exactly. So hopefully that will be the case.
All right. So we have James is here. Hello, James. Lots of people joining today. Thank you guys so much. If you're joining, we love to see who is joining us in the comments or in the live comments, as well as if you guys watch us in the recording as well. Good afternoon. Waiting at airport to head your way. Oh, are you coming to Denver? Thanks for watching.
You're like, bring me some crumble cookies or something.
We actually just got a crumble, not just like recently-ish. And there was one, it was like 30 minutes away, so I never went. And now there's one like kind of by my kid's school.
Love that. My friend, my like lifelong friend that I have visited in Colorado, I fly into Denver to see her, and her tradition when she picks up anyone from the airport is to bring crumble cookies with her in the car. And I'm like, that's hospitality.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And she's like, you're forgetting that this means that every time I pick someone up, I get to eat crumble cookies. And I was like, you're so smart.
Yes. All right. How's the Poshmark quiet quitting going, Sarah? So that was on my agenda to talk about today. Thanks for asking.
Nice.
So after our talk last week, so if you guys didn't watch last week, I'll give you a little update. My Poshmark
dark side.
Right. I don't know what to do. My Poshmark sales have been in the gutter. I did an analysis in January. And after you take out like Close Perfectly and pay my virtual assistant, because she's the one who does everything, like cross-list it and takes it off and all that, I just ship whatever sells. And then fees and stuff, I ended up making like $300. So we kind of talked, and I think we talked, and I'm done listing on Poshmark. I haven't committed to deleting everything. So I haven't, nothing new is going up right now. And instead of having my virtual assistant spend that time, I'm putting her on different tasks. So I'm going to do it for about 2 weeks, and then I'll do a video and say, hey, here's what happened on my Poshmark sales. Was her time better used doing these other tasks? And I did, because you had a good point. I think at the very end, I increased my promoted listing percent a little bit to kind of make up for some of the Poshmark sales. My sales this week on eBay have been pretty, I'm up right now for the month. Let me see. 13%.
Yeah.
But that's gross, and I'm paying more in fees. So you have that. But friends, I will do a video going through everything, but thanks for asking. So while I'm up, I'm actually up more in net sales. I'm up 22% in net sales. My average sale price is up 3.2. So I think what's happening is I have decreased my percent in sales that I'm running.
Yes.
So my sales, and we talked about this, I think, last week. But
like how much percentage off?
Yeah. So my items are selling higher, but I'm paying eBay more to sell them. But at the end of the day, if I'm making more money, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, whoever it goes to, it goes to.
I can't wait to tinker with that also, like starting in a couple of weeks, because I've been running such huge sales and doing everything, to like semi-liquidate. And now I'm like pretty confident that everything I have left is going to fit into the truck. So I'm like, okay, I can slow it down and get more money for fewer items again. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I'm interested to watch how it goes, because you're like doing all the things to liquidate intentionally.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like you're messing around with your promoted listing price and your sale prices and kind of what it does for everything.
So I have a question about your quiet quitting.
Yes, my quiet quitting.
Is there any other platform you would consider for the sake of diversification?
Yeah, I've been talking actually with my spouse about this. So part of the reason that I don't do any other platforms besides Poshmark and eBay is their reports are the only one that puts a skew on their report. And so then for financial reporting, because my husband's, you think I'm crazy about spreadsheets, he's like beyond wild. But he has this like massive financial tax spreadsheet, and he pulls a report, and then it ties the skew to the cost of goods, and then updates for financial tax. Like it's very fine tuned. None of the other platforms have like Mercari has a report, but it doesn't attach the SKU. So then you'd have to manually go in and do every one. And as of right now, it wasn't worth it to me. But we've been creatively thinking about maybe a couple other platforms. Like Etsy, I think, has refined their report, or maybe finding other things that we can tie together besides the SKU if it's not in the report.
Oh, like a different data point.
Yeah, like in a VLOOKUP. So it is on the back burner. So my husband's on this he turned 40 this year. So his midlife crisis is like wealth, and I want to retire by the time I'm 50 and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm going to find a side hustle. And I was like, we can just make my job. Like if I can get on multiple different platforms instead of you going out and working 20 hours a week on top of your other job, if we can just figure out this one problem, and now I'm selling more items because I'm on more platforms. I don't know. So stay tuned. We'll see.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Well, I'm very curious about that. I just was part of a conversation recently this week where another seller was talking about how she did like a deep dive on basically all of the 1099s that all these different platforms issue, and how some of them include the sales tax and some of them don't, and how it's just like super inconsistent across different platforms. And once again, of course, eBay was like the most professional, thorough, and accurate like of any of them that she looked at, and she had looked at like 9.
And they include sales tax? I can't remember.
eBay, I can't remember if theirs does or not, but whatever they do, it's like very clearly like notated on their actual document, where some of the other ones just like give you a total and don't say whether it's included.
Yeah.
And so she was having to like do the calculation to see if it was actually included or not, because they didn't really say.
I can't remember. I'd have to look at eBay. We filed our taxes. I want to talk about it too, if you're comfortable.
Sure.
But we filed our taxes. We have a CPA. We're like on the tail end of wrapping all that up. So we pulled the report a couple weeks ago. So I don't remember exactly, but I do remember. I remember Brian talking about it when he came out for the eBay.
For Denver.
But I don't remember, because someone asked if it included sales tax, and I remember there was like a big discussion around it.
Let me look. I think I have mine right here. Let me look at it and see.
I feel like it shouldn't, because that's not. I mean,
no, that'd be double taxation. I mean, that's the thing. Either you have to manually delete it or like subtract it when you're filing your own taxes, or you might be actually being taxed twice.
Because it's nothing that ever comes to us, right? Like for eBay, because eBay collects it and then they pay taxes on our behalf.
Right. We never have that in our account. Yeah, that's true.
Right. Where like
I think it does not include it, because which would make sense, because also like I'm just looking at mine right now, and like the discrepancy in like what they have turned in, like, okay, where are you? I lost you. Here you are. I couldn't find you on my screen.
Oh, me.
Yes. The discrepancy in like the amount, like compared to the gross number that I have, is the difference of the sales tax. Because when I think about gross, even though that money never comes to me, I like to think about my sales in terms of how much money is a person willing to pay for this item, which for them includes the sales tax, even though that's not part of my income or my profit. I do have one, like the rawest number does include it, because where I'm pulling it from in my eBay sales is where it's included. Because I just want to know, like, if someone's paying, $25, but there's like a couple dollars of this tax, like, well, no, I never see that, but that's what they had to pay for it,
Yeah, and it's going to differ across states.
So I think I'm pretty sure it's not included on eBay's, which is correct.
Well, and I think where it gets complex too is that eBay does collect it, so it is part of what goes through eBay, but it never touches us as the seller, right? Where like shipping costs and fees, that's included in our gross, because we see, I mean, eBay sees that too, but it goes through and it is a top number. But sales tax, thankfully, I will pay all the fees for eBay to collect all the different sales tax and pay all the different states. Yeah.
I know. I do not want to deal with that. I do have a tax related issue that I've had though.
Oh, can we, real quick? I want to get, someone has a Poshmark. I want to get back to Poshmark real quick. Okay. And we'll get into tax stuff, because I know we kind of went on a tangent. So my Posh sales, they're declining. Someone has said there's a couple of things happening on Poshmark. I know you don't sell on Poshmark, but
there's the lives sucking the life out of everyone.
Yes, there you go. You're on social media. The lives, I don't know if they had a new, like they allowed way more sellers in, but the notifications on the live are, and I can just imagine the sales on Poshmark are going to continue to decline because they're annoying and people aren't going to want to get on. They also did increase their shipping fees, which, I mean, it's like shipping fees are where they are. There, it is. If people were smart, they would either bundle, because it's like $7.97 now for a first class, like what would be a first class item on eBay is really high, but it's up to £5. So if you, I mean, £5 for $7.97 is a great price.
Yeah, for sure.
For a, dress or a top, not so much.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I posted on my Instagram like an hour ago, there's an article, but Poshmark is doing big layoffs.
Oh.
Which is interesting. It's not. So my thoughts on this, I'd be interested. I know you don't do Poshmark, but just in general, my thoughts on this is twofold. One, they are a tech company, and tech right now is doing huge layoffs. They kind of overinflated themselves over COVID, and so they're having to do a layoff. And then also they got bought out. And oftentimes when you get bought out, you have,
the changing of the guard.
Right. So I don't know. Is it because Poshmark sales suck, or are we going to see a lot of things coming from it? I don't know.
I would be really curious. I don't know how much you've kept up with the Posh Kings, but some more friends from our time at eBay headquarters. But I know they also were doing a ton of stuff on Whatnot, and I always want to say WhatsApp. I don't know why. I know they're different things, and I've used both of them. I'm like, oh, I actually said the right one this time. But anyway, I wonder. I mean, they're literally the Posh Kings, so I just wonder, like, what they know or what their take is on all this stuff. I'm very curious.
I don't know that. They are still the Posh Kings, but I don't know that they do as much in Posh. Like for a while, they were only Posh.
Yeah.
And now they ventured out. So I don't know. I can reach out. I'm thinking about, this is the other thing. So I'm thinking a bot crackdown on Posh.
Oh, right.
They have started implementing it in Canada. So it's where, I don't know if it's implemented or they said they were going to implement it, because it's in Canada. So I kind of saw it, but I didn't pay too much attention. But they, if your item is relisted through a bot, then they won't give it exposure. I don't know how they're going to tell. But like I use a Posture VA if you guys want to use it until they crack on it. There's a link down below.
You're like, get it while it's hot. Might really crack down on.
If you get in trouble, don't send it my direction. They haven't said in the US yet. It goes against what they said initially for being a Poshmark like platform. But they haven't really done anything in the past couple of years about it. I'm done with Poshmark if you can't. Like, I'm not sharing 2,000 items 8 times a day.
Yeah.
It's not happening. So that'll be interesting. All right, now to tax. Well, let me see if we have questions, and then we'll get to taxes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So just full disclosure, we are not CPAs. We're not accountants. We are just telling our experiences as small business owners. Let's see. I'm going to see if we have questions. I recommend selling on Facebook sales groups. Yeah, see, I don't know. I think maybe for some of Anna's stuff, like some of your collectibles and like rare, there's probably like I don't know, pin, whatever, like all those pins that you have. There's probably a Facebook group that's like collectible pin collectors, right?
Oh, yeah.
For women's clothes, like,
yeah,
they're a diamond.
Well, and for me, it's like, that's always the challenge of like not having a niche really is like, well, I have like a little bit of a lot of different niches, and I could put in the time to go find all those specialty groups. But like, that's why I like eBay, because I don't have to, they come to me.
Yeah,
right. So maybe I'm just being snobby, but I also hate Facebook. So I really want to spend as little time on there as possible.
Yes, we had that. And I think for Duncan, because he spells, and correct me, Duncan, it's either stamps or postcards or both, but he's very like collectible down. So he can probably be in like one group and sell.
Yeah. Well, just being like, hey, I'm out here and I have this store and I am regularly adding new of this exact kind of inventory. Like, that's going to create, people are going to come back and check out your store as you add new stuff all the time. But for mine, like, it's so funny. People will reach out occasionally and be like, hey, do you have like this other pin from this company from the 80s? And I'm like, no, and I probably never will, because I like listed all these pins and I may never list another pin ever. Like, who knows? So
not just one of those. All right, let's get into some tax things. Full disclosure, friends, we are not tax accountants. Get a CPA. We are just sharing our experience and what we believe to be true and what we do. But I highly recommend getting a tax accountant, a CPA in your state, because all states are going to differ, which is interesting because you're moving. So you'll have to
get a
file.
new one.
Yeah. But then you'll file like the beginning of the year. You'll
Yeah.
have to file it in. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, the federal will be the same, but I'll have to file in 2 states for state.
Yeah, and find a new one. Okay, so Rich Colby is saying eBay and Amazon are both marketplace facilitators. They both collect and remit for us on our behalf to the state. Poshmark does as well. I think most platforms do now. There was like a new law a couple years ago that they had to. You still need to file your state return as zero, though. Whatever that means.
I'll do what my tax lady tells me.
That's what I was gonna say. She just tells me what numbers she needs, and I give them to her, or he tells me. For new sellers, don't mistake no fees for no taxes reporting. Just because you can sell on Facebook Marketplace for free doesn't mean everything you sell isn't tracked in public knowledge.
It's true.
And just real quick, we did a live video a couple weeks ago with the government relations volunteers at eBay, and we talked a lot about the $600 rule. And so if you're wondering, the $600, so the $600 rule was last year they said they had platforms had to send out 1099s if you sold over $600. It used to be $20,000.
Right. Or at $20,000 or 200 transactions. And they're proposing to change it to 1 transaction and $600. But in like the 11th hour,
that was like the 23rd of December or something.
They kick the can down the road another year. So they have more time to make a better informed decision about that. So it's not off the table, but hopefully it will at least be like somewhere in between $600 and $20,000 instead of just $600. But we don't have to worry about that for, last year's tax year, basically.
That being said, if you are selling and you're making money, you still have to claim whether you got a 1099 or not. All the 1099 means is that the platform is now notifying the IRS
that they
paid that money. So
yes, and speaking of, that's a perfect segue into my issue. So I received my 1099 from eBay, and it had the wrong name on it.
Mine did too.
Really?
Yeah, but mine's kind of my mistake. So you tell your story, I'll tell
mine. Did they correct it?
Tell your story, and then they didn't, but I didn't ask them to. So how was yours wrong?
Okay, mine was my husband's name. No, that happened to you?
Yes, but I thought it was my fault because I put him as like a
beneficial owner.
Yeah.
Listen. Okay, yes. We did. Okay, I don't know if we actually did the same thing or if somehow the verbiage changed, because I was like, I didn't know anything about this until I got my 1099. It was wrong. And I was like, what the heck? This is like, because he has an eBay store, but it's like a small eBay store. It's like his hobby thing. Like, I was like, what in the world? Like, why is his name on my tax form? Like, this is so weird. And so of course I called. I've been on the phone like 4 or 5 times about this with eBay, because I'm like, I can't file my taxes till I have this corrected.
Do you file separately or do you file together?
We file together. I do have the answer now.
Okay.
But the answer is not that eBay can fix it and issue you the correct form, which made me absolutely livid because after being told like 4 times, we'll send you the right one. Sorry, we'll correct it and send you the right one. Finally, somebody was like, we actually can't correct it and send you the right one. Your tax person's going to have to fix that when you file, which fortunately is a thing. But when hold on. So when I actually went in to like look and see what was going on, I saw that in my account. Oh, well, he's named as a beneficial owner. And I swear, I was like, I know what that means. Like, I wouldn't have chosen him for that. I would have chosen him as like a beneficiary. Like if I die, he gets to, the business gets turned over to him or whatever. But I was just like, I never would have selected that. Like, I literally know what that term means. And he's not that. I'm that. And why is he in there? So I remember like updating my tax information at some point. And I'm just telling you, like back then and now, I know what that term means and I wouldn't have chosen it. So I have no idea if the language changed or what happened, but it is no coincidence that we both did that.
That is wild. So I did we actually went in as our CPA first because I was like, I'm not trying to like mess around with eBay and try and get this fixed if I
Yeah,
don't have
or the
to.
IRS. I'm like, I don't need this right now.
Right. And I don't want to be like, so I told my husband, but although it could actually benefit me, and like if we got a divorce and it shows that I have no income, then I can go take him for everything. So like it may actually help me, but not that we're planning to get divorced. But
You're like,
I'm like, you
you go
can't.
have your midlife crisis. I'll go have mine. Thank you very much.
So that's so funny because I went in, it came to him too. And my husband doesn't have an eBay store. So he was like,
Yeah.
what's going on? And we went in and looked and it said that. And I do remember last year too, going in and saying, because we were doing like some trust things and like, or like if I got sick, I think I went in when I got COVID. So maybe I had COVID fog. But when I got COVID, because I was like, if something happened to me,
Yeah.
like you need to be able to do whatever, like either just turn it off or talk to someone on my behalf or
Yes. Right.
whatever.
Be like an approved like person on the account to like be able to do something if something happens. Exactly.
Owner. That's so wild that it happened to both of us.
I
So
know.
our CPA was just like, don't worry about it. I'll make sure that it's like filed separate. Like we filed together, but that they know that it's
Yes. Which is what mine said. She was basically like, no big deal. And I was like, okay, well, I wish that eBay had not given me the runaround because I would have had my taxes done. And now we're like literally in the middle of moving and I have to wait to like even mess with it because I just literally don't have the time. But I've been waiting and waiting for months to get that corrected. And they finally told me they can't correct it. But I mean, the good news is that if you file it correctly still, it's like not a problem at all. And I went in and changed that in my account to like myself as the beneficial owner. But I was just like, there is no way that I like set this up wrong. Like, I don't know. I can't go back and look at it. But for some reason, I either didn't think that that's what it meant or like the language was different when it was prompting you to fill things out.
I think it had to have been different. So at first I just thought that like I wasn't paying attention. It was my fault.
Yeah.
And now that it also happened to you and
there's no way.
really intelligent. Like I don't want to say like we're like super intelligent, but we're both like okay-ish, right? Like
yes, we smart. Okay.
So on that note with taxes, I wanted to note a little bit, and this is not I'm not a CPA. I just want to give the advice out there to people who are doing this. So as you're a small business, and you're running your own money or you're, going through your taxes and stuff, the lower you can get your taxable income, the better in a legal manner, right? Like don't be claiming things that you can't.
Right.
But that's, if you just send in your 1099, then you're going to get taxed on all of that. So you want to be tracking your mileage. You want to be tracking your cost of goods. And there's various different ways that you can account for this. The accountant that I had coming on is having personal issues. So I'm going to try and get someone else on. If you guys know an accountant that wants to come on and talk to us, but you want to try and track your expenses, track your fees, your ship, like it's kind of a pain, but tracking all of that stuff means what you're paying at the bottom line does end up being, you're paying less taxes on your bottom line.
It's not a pain if you love spreadsheets.
Yeah, right.
You don't love spreadsheets. It definitely is more of a pain. But
yeah, but I don't use it, but I know that like Quicken and GoDaddy use to connect to eBay. A lot of people use, or like Quicken and QuickBooks will connect to your bank account. So it won't be like at the level of detail, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, and it's enough. It's enough information for filing taxes. Like, yeah.
And something that we've been doing once I started making money in the business is you can max out like IRA. I put this on my Instagram today too, but like maxing out your IRA if you have one. We opened a SIP IRA this year because once you make so much money, then you can, as a business owner, because we can't have 401ks.
Right. So you can put in more that way.
Right. So if you guys are interested, I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just sharing what we have done. So you guys have like some words to Google or ask your CPA about. And then we have an HSA because we have a high deductible. So maxing out that to lower your taxable income.
HSAs are the jam, the triple tax advantage account. I love it.
Yes. Right. And we have a family of 5. So we spent through ours before the years even over. That was my 2 cents on taxes. Do you have anything else to add besides your?
I just wanted to complain about how I got the runaround for like a month and a half and couldn't even file my taxes, and then found out they couldn't even do anything about it. But I actually am so glad that I whinged about it because I thought I was just like dumb and like made some stupid little error, but now I'm like, no, there's no way. Something happened between A and B, because that would not have happened to both of us coincidentally like that.
Right. And it is kind of like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because our CPA fixed it. But
Yeah.
also, I'm like, that was my hard-earned money, and it says your name on it. Like,
I don't like
that.
that. You'll just have to keep that copy of your tax return for all of time when it's
yes, right. The other thing too, and this is completely different tangent, but the same idea is when we bought our house, it was my husband qualified for the house on his own, and it was
same.
too hard to try. And she was like, "We can add you to the loan, and we can get like."
But it's kind of like a lot of work for nothing.
Yeah, they're like, when you have a small business, it's much harder to like prove your income and blah blah blah, and it's a lot of work. And so she's like, our realtor and mortgage lender was like, we're just gonna put him on it, and I was like, I mean, but then at the end of the day, like he's the only one that has the loan, right? So
Yeah.
as long as my name's on the title,
you're still on the deed. Yeah. It's like,
but it was also the same thing that it was like, I work hard and it's just on his
yeah, man, a little validation.
Oh, here we go. We keep forgetting Anna has good. This is why we love Duncan showing. Anna has a book.
Duncan, you are my hero. It's true.
Amazon's probably the best place because your eBay is going to be on.
Yeah, that's the best place for now. You can eventually buy it from me again on eBay, but I'm about to be off the grid for a little while. But yeah, so Duncan asked, how's my book sales? I mean, slow and steady, man. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm glad.
Are you going to write a new one?
I feel like
it's a move and like new inventory and condensing down, and like you probably have.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be really fun. I love writing, and I think there's a lot of things to update because, you know, I released this like basically right at the beginning, or finished writing it right at the beginning of COVID. And man, have things changed about how I run my business since then, and just my perspective overall. So yeah, I may do like an updated version at some point. We'll see. I am very curious because I feel like there's a lot of things about my kind of my goals and how I'm running my business this year that are going to kind of crystallize the more like long-term way that I'm going to run it, since I'm not going to be in like huge building mode anymore. Like that's the biggest change. So I think I need to write it from that perspective and kind of get things running that way, and then reassess everything that I read about before and update it.
But it could just be like a new book. Like that could be a book for people who are trying to grow and get started, and then a new book. Because I find that like we're in a similar type place, and it is a different kind of mindset in maintaining, growing in different ways than growing your like the hamster wheel of reselling, right? But just growing your eBay or your business as a whole.
Yeah. Well, and I think like for me, I do write about this, or I did write about this a lot in that book, but just like the kind of bigger picture context of like why I'm running the store, to have like a flexible lifestyle that allows a lot more bandwidth mentally for like creativity and time to be flexible, and, you know, be the person who can show up in the middle of a weekday to help my friend move or like whatever. Like I love that stuff. That's more about like how the life I want to live kind of thing. So
which is where I'm finally at, and it feels so weird.
You want to come help me move?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have plenty of it because I volunteer at my kids' school at least once a week. I tend to sub. I'm on like 3 committees at their school. I like if there's not a full week in the entire school year that the kids are at school. Either like this week they had a day off, last week they had a day off, one was sick last week, and then there's snow days, and then there's like, so I'm plenty busy. But it's not like the hamster wheel of I can essentially get, if I'm not growing and not doing anything different, I can get my reselling business done in 2 full days.
That's awesome.
Minus shipping. But like I can take enough photos in like 3 to 4 hours. And when I say full days, I mean like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. So really like half days for most people.
Yeah, right. Exactly though. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my full day is like 8 o'clock once the kids are dropped off. And then I take like a 2-hour lunch and work out and then do stuff in the afternoon.
Do you feel like you're really aware now though? Like, maybe not every single day, but you know, when you are getting to do that stuff and run your life that way, are you like, yes, this is what I worked for? Like, I'm doing it. Like, are you like really like satisfied all the time about that?
It's actually taken, and after a couple of these calls, because I think we've talked about it a decent amount, but it's taken some adjustment because if you're like when you're in growth mode and trying to figure out all these different things, like it was almost an anxiety that you had all of the time. And like when I didn't have all that anxiety and stress, I was like, well, obviously something's going wrong.
Right. You're
But
like,
it's
am
like
I
I
making
know
money?
how to list. I know how to make a YouTube video. Like I'm not having to learn all of these new things. I just know how to do it, and it takes me
Yeah.
significantly less.
Well, and at some point, maybe you'll need another challenge, but like it doesn't have to be store related at all. Like it can be something else in your life, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I enjoy, I mean, I went to school to be a teacher, so I like being at the school. I don't want to be in the school and get paid. Mine is like subbing because it's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed being able to do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna say something. Oh, kind of on that note, because I am doing so reselling, I'm keeping about the same. I'm trying to like squeeze as much as I can out of it and be as efficient and best as I can, but I'm not
Yeah.
like growth mode at all. Social media, YouTube, I'm kind of trying to bump that up. So if you guys have watched any of my videos this week, I'm trying to figure out like how to master YouTube and do stuff. And one of my biggest complaints is that I talk too fast, especially on my videos. Like this one is more of a casual conversation. But on my videos, like as I'm explaining, I'm excited and I'm talking really fast. And so I started inserting, and by I mean my virtual assistant now. That's what she's been doing is we're learning editing instead of
Oh,
copying. So we'll see how it plays off.
interesting.
Yeah. It's not, yeah, financially, I don't know that it'll pay off, but I think hopefully it'll help grow my channel. Anyway, so I've been inserting like a 10-second, if I talk too fast, here's how you slow down the speed on YouTube. And it's I've gotten some like, do you watch a lot of YouTube?
Not
Not
a lot.
necessarily reselling, but like YouTube and like would it
Yeah.
annoy you to see that on videos or would
That's
it be
so that's so brilliant though to do that instead of be like, I'm gonna train myself to talk slowly because that's not how I talk. Like,
well then you could, so I thought about it because you can like she could edit it to slow me down.
yeah.
But then I'm also like I've built a community of
Yeah. Who's
people who
used
like
to
my
how yeah.
content. Um,
Yeah.
And so I'm just like here, and people who are watching too in the comments, or feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm taking no offense to any of this. I'm asking for your feedback. So I won't take offense to whatever you have to say. But I'm just wondering, like, it's proven well in the first couple of videos that I've put it in. It's extended people's watch time. So,
Interesting.
and I've had quite a few people that were like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that. It totally helped." I'm wondering for my like long-term people who watch every time, like every video of mine, if they're going to be like, okay, Sarah, we get it. Like this is on every single video. Like
Yeah.
if it's annoying or if they'll just not care.
Well, I don't know if you're like always putting it in the same spot in the video. It's like, you know, when people do an intro bumper, outro, you know, ads or announcements or whatever. I don't know. I think about stuff more in terms of podcasting because I have a podcast that's been on hiatus for a while, but like I did all the editing for that and like all the production stuff and it like I don't know, like that kind of thing. And when I listen to podcasts, sometimes I adjust the speed just to my own preference or whatever. But that's more like, oh, I'm familiar with the platform, you know, so I know I can do that. So I think that's really helpful. If it's not super obvious, then pointing it out.
Yeah. And it's like a 10-second. So I don't feel like,
You
I don't
should say it really slow. If
know.
I'm
Well,
speaking too quickly.
I did say it a little bit slower than my normal speed, but not, someone told me they were playing around with it and they slowed me all the way down and they're like, you sounded like you were drunk.
She's like, listen, I'm not gonna do Poshmark anymore. Just kidding.
I also speed
I'm
up.
here for comedic relief, obviously.
It's Friday. We are here for
It's
it.
so Friday.
I speed up all my stuff too. But what's funny is I didn't actually know you could do it until one of my kids showed me last year.
Oh, cool.
So I feel like I don't know. I think it's helpful. If my regular viewers think
Yeah.
otherwise, let me know.
It's got to be like what you're used to and slash what your auditory processing is used to because I am from the Midwest, obviously, and I also tend to talk really fast because of doing a podcast. I'm a little more aware now. And also being a therapist, you don't want to just like bulldoze over people when you're talking about stuff. But in certain contexts, I'm way more conscious of it and I can slow it down. But I'm used to talking really fast. Like if you just heard me talking to my sisters or something, you like probably would be like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. But that's what I'm used to. And so literally, I mean, if anything, when I say I adjust the speed on a podcast, I'm speeding it up too, because that's what I'm used to.
I actually had a couple people, like regular viewers, that said they actually speed me up. And I was like, wow, that's intense. Yeah. And so I've had this a lot. I like when Claire talks fast. It keeps me awake. And people have told me that my regular viewers obviously like it because
Yeah,
that's what they're here for. But to grow
right.
my channel, I think that I'm trying to figure out like that fine line of I'm not
Yeah.
changing who I am. And if I start talking slower, then my current viewers that already like it aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
This is interesting too, which is why I pointed out that if you don't like the way I talk, there's technology that can help you. But as
Right.
a listener, watcher of YouTube and podcasts, I love Heidi. If you guys don't know Heidi, you're going to have to tell me, you're going to have to put it in the comments, Heidi, on Instagram. She's Resell. I can see her picture, but she has great information on Instagram. She's
Oh,
a great
awesome.
reseller. As a listener, watcher of YouTube and podcast, creators need to know at least half of audience behavior is due to what is happening to them in the moment, not what is happening in the video.
Don't take it personally.
True story. Yeah, yes, thank you, Heidi. Resale secrets. I knew it was
Perfect.
yeah, lots of good information she has. All right, that was that. Do you have anything else? I have one other question.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. If you guys do have questions, we have maybe about another 10 minutes. So if you have any general reselling, eBay, life questions, whatever you want. So eBay international shipping, right? Someone had mentioned on one of my videos that they're from Germany and the cost of the new program as a buyer was like, so I think when it was GSP, they said it would cost them like $40 for something and now it's costing them like $100.
Oof.
Have you looked at the other side of like from the buyer's perspective?
I have not, but I also definitely don't make it super easy for international buyers. I'm kind of like, if you're buying this from me, then you should be able to pay, whatever exorbitant amount for shipping, because why are you buying this from me from across the world? You must really want it.
Yes.
But I don't know, like I even used to do oh my gosh, now I can't think of the name of it. It's like a international, like it didn't exactly cross list, but it maybe put my listings on like the other eBay sites or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, yeah, I know. I never did it. I know what you're talking about, but
I did it and it was like fine, but I didn't feel like it was significantly really worth it. Like it was a subscription thing too. So I was eventually like, you know what? 95% of my sales plus are still in the US and, sometimes occasionally Canada. I do a good bit to like Canada and Australia, but outside of that, it's like few and far between anyway. So
But Canada is the one that gets hit the most. So I used to do USP and then I had Canada people reach out and say, can you do the eBay? It's like first cash. It was basically first class.
International first class or whatever.
And it went from like $40 for them to like $12.
Yeah.
And so I don't like, there's also not, is there a place? I don't know that there's a place on eBay to see your international sales numbers, right? Like they don't break that out anywhere.
I don't think so. Not that I know of, but also like, I mean, country by country, I haven't looked at any of that. It's interesting though, because Germany also, has all the new packaging laws and stuff. And I wonder if there's something about that that's making it more exorbitant for them. Because eBay on our behalf has to jump through a lot more hoops to make sure about the stuff that is being sent to Germany than any other country in Europe, to my understanding right now. But also like, I'm curious if we could know that, like, how did this change the price point for like every country by comparison? Because I'm sure that for a lot of them, it has made it more cost effective, or eBay wouldn't be doing this program because it's supposed to encourage more international sales, right? And like streamline everything.
Well, and they said it was supposed to be cheaper, but I don't know. And maybe Duncan knows or but how would you know what the shipping costs are? Like how do I look at my listing because I'm not in it? Or could you go in and pretend to buy it and put it in your?
I mean, there is a shipping, I guess maybe for GSP, there was a shipping like table somewhere in like seller resources that showed you, this weight and dimensions, like kind of like the dimensional weight, like chart for maybe not every country, but it was like the top like 5 or 6 or something. I remember looking at that before because I knew from like looking at that while I was listing things like, oh, well, if it's, over this many ounces, then it's going to jump up to $23 instead of like 14 or whatever for any given country. But like, I don't know if the new program has any kind of a table like that where you can kind of get an estimate
I think I remember seeing one. I'm gonna look into it. Because so the struggle though is if you either opt everything into the program or you opt everything out. Because
Yeah.
I was like, well, anything first class, maybe I can put on the old first class program and just deal with it, take Germany out or whatever. But you're either all in or all out. You can't like pick and choose which ones you want.
Right.
And I got the sense that eBay was kind of making us all like it's going to just be the standard moving forward.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. I mean, I guess you could possibly still just if you're printing your label through eBay, right? Like you could always take it to USPS and send it international first class, but who's going to do that? When you can't reliably predict the cost of it either. Like,
yes. Yeah. And then like it's worth it because eBay's going to start dealing with the returns and everything.
Right.
We have a couple questions, but on that note, I'm going to make a video, friends, so you guys can have the full thing of what happened and what I did. But I've been selling on eBay for about 4 years now. I had my first scam. Like legit, they sent me back the wrong item. I know. What's funny is I did a video like maybe a couple of weeks ago that was like, it's never happened to me. It's not that. And
somebody saw that and was like, this is your lucky day.
But it's still like, so I've had one now where they sent back a different item.
Yeah.
Out of like 6,500 items that I've sold.
Yeah. I had that happen one time ever also in about 5.5 years. So.
Right. And eBay completely took care of it.
Actually, almost 6 years. Wow. That's nuts.
It's crazy. So yeah. I'm going to do a full video on it, but I wanted to share. I saw someone's comment. I wanted to share because it's happening.
So they did take care of it entirely.
Yeah. So they, I'll do a full video, but I messaged them before I returned it. I got it. So it was a pair of jeans. I sent them, they sent back a different size. And what's funny, I don't know, funny, but they messaged me before they returned them and are like, oh, this is the wrong size.
You're like, no kidding.
Right. So then I was like, well, maybe it was my mistake. And maybe, and I looked at the photos or maybe like it was a return or I pulled the wrong item so I was just like, okay, just file a return and we'll figure it out when I get it back. And it was not like, it wasn't like, if it was some of my older inventory, I'd be like, okay, maybe, but it wasn't even close to the right. It was the same brand of jeans. It was a different style and a completely different number. And I know my process well enough to know that
like that all of that would have slipped through the cracks.
No, like I had pictures of the tags and the tags weren't close. And it wasn't like, oh, I had a picture of a 27 and I accidentally listed it as a 25 or something. Right. Like,
yeah.
And it was a completely different style that I was like, that's not like,
right.
Get it together.
And you're like, even if somehow the one you received actually was wrong, you sent me back the wrong one. So
right. So I got it back and I looked at it. I reported them right away, but I didn't refund them because I was like, I've never had this happen before. I reached out to eBay for Business and said, what do I do? And they were like, we've taken care of it. You've gotten your money. It's no impact to you. I don't know what they did for the buyer. But so I know they have said that you get 50% back if that happens. They were like, we gave you all your money. So now I can list the pair that she sent me and make even more money off of it.
Thanks for this inventory.
Joke's on you.
That is funny.
All right, let's see. I saw a reseller was not covered on eBay demanding their item and had a refund. They were out of the item and money. Hold on. Did we miss something?
Oh, eBay damaged their item? Like,
oh, from
from like international shipping because they repacked it after they checked it or something, and
I have a hard time believing that eBay would not take care of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
I mean, I do too. I'm very curious. Like, I mean, if the person okay, I have like access apparently to like concierge customer service with eBay, right? Probably because
why?
I don't know. Maybe because of
your grant.
Maybe, or like, I don't know if it's because of the amount of items I have, or I don't know why. But when I call, they're like immediately, oh my gosh, you've been on eBay for 14 years. Like, thank you so much for your loyalty, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I still got the runaround about the tax document, but that was because everyone I talked to didn't realize that it couldn't be fixed. And they kept putting in like work orders to get it fixed. And then it wasn't fixable. So I kept not getting the document. But anyway.
It has to be fixable though.
But they just That's what I think. I'm like, you should reissue this freaking corrected thing to the IRS. Thank you very much. But anyway, in times past, like before I had that, I haven't always had that. I've had regular customer service for a long time too. And there were definitely times where the people I was talking to did not actually know the policies. And it's like you just hang up and call back and get someone else and hope that they know the policy about like what eBay's responsibility is in that situation or whatever. So I do wonder if this was the situation where they tried to follow up on it and the customer service they happened to get was like wrong and mistaken, or they just said, no, sorry, there's nothing we can do, like in that scenario.
Especially because it's a new program. So like the training for everybody to know all the new programs.
Yeah, I would say like call back another day and just see who else you get and talk them through it before you do anything, before you refund. I mean, the good thing about all of these processes that eBay has, even like someone, filing a return, whatever, like there are like time frames built into all of that. So you have like several days at least usually to like get another opinion or like get it figured out. Now that being said, we as sellers shouldn't have to like run around and try to find the right answer, but if it doesn't sound right to you, like ask them where in the policy that it says that. And if they can't like point you to like where that rule is, then hang up and call and talk to someone else, because every policy is written like.
Yes. And if you are a top rated seller, if you've sold a lot of items, if you in general, like all of the metrics that they have, you stay in and they're going to support you. And this is where, and I don't know who said this and I don't know, but oftentimes when people are like, oh, eBay doesn't support me, eBay doesn't, I am curious to like look at their story and see if they have like, if they're not a great seller or if they're below standard, or like eBay is not going to support you if you're below standard and give you a bunch of money back if you're not keeping your end of the deal.
Yeah.
If you have, I've sold 6,000 items in 3 years, I'm top rated, my metrics are all really low, that like these onesie twosies I get through, I think they're like, oh, well, you are bringing us a lot of money.
Right.
We'll take care of you. You scratch our back, we scratch your back.
Yes, it behooves them to like kind of look deeper into it to give the best resources, whatever, which for better or worse, I mean, in a perfect world, everybody would be totally trained and would have the right answer all the time, but that doesn't always happen. And unfortunately, that means as the seller in that situation, it's kind of, if you want to not be out your item and your money, like you have to figure out like, okay, well, you have to keep asking, or, try to file a claim with the post office, or, I don't know.
The whole reason for the new international shipping is that eBay was taking, like once it came out of our house, it was on eBay.
Right.
And so I don't know. I have a hard time believing. Maybe, and I do think that like things fall through the crack, especially as a new program. But I do think that in general, it's not supposed to be the case, right?
Yeah, it's not.
All right, let's see. We have a couple of people just talking about how you can figure out. So if you're listening to our conversation earlier about figuring out the shipping cost, Duncan said something, Heidi said something. I'm going to go in and try and figure out, because I don't know that I get a ton of sales, but if I can keep it low, I'd like to. I feel slightly embarrassed about this, but I'll go ahead and admit it. I just figured out this week that Goodwill's outlet stores are the bin stores everyone talks about. I'll be going next week. Yay! That's so exciting.
We're laughing with you, not at you, James.
It actually took me a minute too. So I have thrifted my entire life, but I hadn't been to a bin store, a Goodwill outlet until like a year and a half into my reselling. And it like everyone was like, oh, the bins. And I was like, what are they talking about? So I feel, yeah, it took me there too. All right. I think, do we have any questions, you see any?
I don't think so.
Okay, so they're saying someone else is saying I had an item damaged by eBay GSP, and they refunded the buyer, no problem. Yeah, so I don't think it's their normal practice.
Yeah.
I do have a fun, and to be continued, because I don't know what's going to happen, but I had a buyer file for a return, and they have 30 days to return it. They messaged me, and I was like, oh, something happened. I wasn't able to return it, blah, blah, blah. I just put it in the mail. That was after their 30-day return. So I'm waiting to get it back to see what eBay's going to say, but I'm like, and I couldn't, if they would have told me ahead, I would have been like, I'm sorry, like you already, like, don't ship it yet.
Yeah, 30 days, like, come on.
They said it was like a medical emergency or whatever, but.
Yeah, I've heard that before too.
Yeah. But I like.
So cynical.
Had they told me ahead, I would have been like, don't ship it. Let me ask eBay what we can do, or like, you snooze, you lose. So sorry.
Yeah.
But they already shipped it to me. So now I'm like, I don't like if I get it, do I just keep it and then sell it again? And I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
stay tuned. I'll reach out to eBay. I like eBay for business. If you don't have a concierge like Anna.
Concierge, what's up? I don't have like an individual contact, but I can tell when I call, it's like not the regular customers.
Yes. Well, you have a phone number to call. I don't no, I think I can get a phone number to call, but I think depending on your store level, when you go to customer service,
Yes, that's correct.
no. Yeah.
Which sometimes I accomplish a lot with like email or chat if those are available, but they're not always. So I did have one thing happen this week where I shipped something out, and maybe like last week I shipped it out and it got returned to sender, and there was like a label on it that said that the premises was vacant. And that's why it got returned to me. And then immediately the buyer messaged me and said, I never received this. Like, it says that they tried to deliver it. Like, they got some kind of notification and then that it was returned. And I'm like, yeah, it had a stamp on it that says that it's vacant. And they're like, well, I have another address. And I'm thinking, like, I've already paid. It was free shipping. So like, I've already paid to ship this to you once. I'm literally about to move. So if this happens again, I literally won't be here if it comes back again.
Yeah.
So I just refunded them and was like, no. Like, too bad. Came back. I can't do anything about it right now.
Love it. This is my favorite part. I've had this happen on Poshmark twice, and then I do have to go pick up children. But so on Poshmark, you file a return and they have to approve it. Like, it's all up to Poshmark. And I have people get mad at me all the time. And I'm like, listen, it's up to Poshmark. I take returns on eBay. It's not like they have to approve it. And I've had two people that are like, I guess they didn't know the policies or they didn't know how it works. They paid their own money to ship it back to me before Poshmark approved it. And then Poshmark
didn't approve it.
The return, and then they didn't have the item anymore. And then one person was going in my store and like leaving all these comments, why won't you give me my money back? And the seller, and I was like, it's Poshmark.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have your phone.
Also, you didn't follow the process that they have. I hate when people try to go outside of the process. I'm just like, no, I'm not dealing with you or communicating with you unless you're going through the proper channels. Yeah. They're there for a reason.
Right. And I was like, it's not like I don't care. I would have, honestly, she returned it to me. It was in the same condition. It's going to sell again because I already listed it again and I'm going to get it sold paid twice. But I was like, I legitimately cannot give you money back. I'm not going to like ask for your PayPal, but all right, that's it. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Good luck.
Oh yeah.
Shipping. Good luck.
Moving.
Yeah.
There's no YouTube live next Friday because I will be like literally in the middle of loading a truck and leaving the state. But I think after that there will be. So.
Yes. Yeah. So we are taking a couple of weeks off in March. One, Anna's moving, and then we have spring break. And we're doing a road trip. So 2 of those Fridays that we'll be on the road trip. So we will be here periodically in March. Both of us are on social media. So if you have questions as things come up, feel free to reach out. So
sounds perfect.
And good luck.
All on the flip side.